It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Hey guys, you're watching A Mediocre Existence, where I like to struggle through my drawing process and post it as content. All of these drawings were from an Artober challenge in 2024, so day 3 was gems. And for this drawing, I realized I didn't have to scour the internet for a picture because I have gems at home. We have gems at home. Kind of a dragon who likes to hoard rocks, gems, crystals. So I grabbed a few of mine and took a photo. Now, I know what you're thinking. These gems are dusty.
You look dusty.
But it's just a reference photo. I'm not here for photography, I'm here to draw shit. So, let's get to drawing some dusty gems. I started circling where each gem would fit on the page, just so I can get an overall feel for the composition.
Little, small, smooth boy. He's... oof. It's okay, buddy. You'll get better.
I have this flat little stone that I stacked a cute cube on. And it's like he has a little buddy, a little friend. I guess that's the general idea of where I want all the crystals placed. There's so many tiny details, and I'm not sure how far I'm gonna get into the details. I guess we'll see. Okay, they're just shapes. The rocks are just shapes. That's all they really are. This drawing is so daunting, can you tell? It was hard not getting lost in the reference, because every time I would look back, I'd be like, wait, what was I looking at? This guy has a lot of proboscises, pro bono. So I'm just mapping out where they would go. They look a little rough. Help! They're always a little whack in the sketching phase. So at this point, I lightly erased the drawing to go over it with a more detailed outline. If you see my other videos, you know that I like to work in like layers. It's kind of like you're working with layers in Photoshop, but you don't have layers in your paper, so I like to make layers by erasing one, drawing over it, erasing again, drawing over it, rinse, repeat. So I've seen artists do, like, see, this is how I feel like I'm still struggling, because I've seen artists do a perfect sketch from the get-go. They just draw it. They simply draw it. Wouldn't that be fucking nice? Oh my god, I can't draw things the first time. I have to draw it like the 5th time to get it right. My sketches are so chaotic and ugly. I have to try to sculpt a better drawing for my shitty sketch, but that's the process I work with. That's what I do. Is I like to start with the shitty overall jumbled mess and then refine it until I'm like, you know what, that's alright. It's alright. Looks like a little face looking thing. He go like, oh. I'm just gonna exaggerate this curve in the back to give the rock some dimension. The rest of this is just messy business, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. It's just shapes. I'll get back to them. Okay, I gotta start drawing this proboscis guy. This guy's a lot thicker than the others, and he's not quite parallel with everything else. He's a tad bit askew, which is fine. We all welcome all shapes and sizes here. Oh no. It looks like a garden of zucchinis. If you know what I mean. This guy also has some extra sides sticking out. It's hard to see, but they're there. God, it's always hard to draw something that's protruding. Like, how do you show it's protruding on a 2D surface? This guy has a little friend growing on him, so I'm gonna add him in. I'll just leave that. I'll get back to that later. That guy is difficult. It's really hard to tell what's going on here, so I'm just guessing at this point. It's all up to interpretation. At this point, I was just winging it. I didn't even know if the sketch was gonna work. It looks so ugly. Oh well. Look at... You know, it may never get better. This may just be what we have. This guy's nice and simple. This guy's like a little cloud. A little sideways little cloud. Now this guy's got a caboose. He got that thing on him. And last but not least, our friend. Alright, that's the first Passover. I'm gonna do another one because this one doesn't look quite right. So I think this part needs to protrude just a bit more, so I'm gonna emphasize the edges. I'm just making jaggedy shapes that resemble the picture. It's kind of a blur anyways. So some of these have textures within the structures, like the crystally textures. I didn't know how to illustrate that, so I hinted at them with some light shading and just kind of moved on. Just adding in some jaggedy sheps over here. because it's just shapes. It just forms and shapes. I cried because I chose a really complex crystal trying to challenge myself. Oh, why don't you challenge yourself more? Why did I do that to myself? And I'm looking back at this crystal in the front, and I think some of these protrude too much. Maybe that's why they look out of proportion to me, so I'm gonna scale these down just a bit. Sure, it's close enough. I think this guy can be less chunky. He's a heckin' chunker, but he's not a hefty chunker. And I think this guy's too long. He needs to be pulled back a bit and foreshortened. This one was messing me up because it's almost like there was a slight protrusion on the lower edge. So I was trying to illustrate it with the best of my ability. Unfortunately, my ability is not the best. And I can't forget the little friend this guy has. Okay, well, after fucking around in that section, I made minimal progress, but I'm gonna get back to it later. Get back to all yas. Be patient, my beauties. So what's going on here? What am I doing? After drawing the big boys, I gotta get all these tiny little crystals on the bottom. Not sure how to tackle this here. Like, what is going on? What is all this? It just don't look good, you know? When I draw the little things in, they just don't look good. Not gonna lie, I got really frustrated trying to draw those tiny bastards. They don't look good no matter how I drew them. So this is where I gave myself a pep talk to try to keep going. It's not perfect, but it's on the page. So we're just gonna continue. I reinforced the outlines on the smooth rocks, but I did struggle outlining the flat one. His line art was pretty sketchy, but it is what it is. I was so dead inside from trying to draw those tiny little crystals. Honestly, I was not in it to win it. I wasn't being a team player. It's tragic. Okay, I've got all the crystals drawn. I don't know if they're drawn correctly, but they're drawn out. I contemplated whether I wanted to start inking it or do another pass with my pencil to refine some lines. I kept looking at it and seeing more problems.
It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect.
So I decided it was time to ink it. You know, I'm like, this is different, this is harder. Maybe I won't outline it first. I'll start trying to sketch in the shading with the ballpoint pen because I wanted to incorporate the texture and the shading of the crystals. As soon as I started doing that, I realized the pencil outline just got lost and everything. And if I tried doing that, I would lose a lot of my own work and confuse myself even more. So I switched back to the thicker pen and started just to do an outline. I'm just pretending I know what I'm doing because I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay. It's fine. It's shapes. It's fine.
So I'm honestly just bullshitting some of these structures. I'm just drawing them like what I think they would look like.
Okay, that's not bad at all. Okay, yeah, look at that. Okay, so that one's good. He's got some fuzzies on him.
I think I'm just gonna follow the same method of drawing random shapey shapes and praying the crystal gods for their blessing. Unfortunately, the crystal god said, "Fuck you." And I ended up messing up the line art on one of the long crystals. As I continued to outline the crystal, I kept making slight corrections to the pencil line art I had made, while continuing to make more mistakes and giving myself a pep talk to keep going.
It's fine, it's the part of the process. It's just fucking up.
Those tiny crystals were still a pain in the ass to draw. What's going on here at the bottom? I gotta figure out how to draw this. I decided to outline it and fill in the rest with textured shading. And now I gotta outline those smooth guys. And I messed that up too. No matter what, this guy's just gonna be sketchy. Okay, now I'm going back to shading the crystals with the ballpoint. I hope I don't mess something up, but I'm probably gonna mess something up anyway. I don't know if I really like that or not. It looks a little hairy, but I'm gonna keep trucking. So I trudged unconfidently as I tried shading these long boys by bullshitting the rendering process. Unfortunately for me, you can only bullshit for so long with minimal consequences.
Oh, there's a highlight there, I forgot. Oh no. Oh no, why did I do that?
There's no real way of fixing that. It's just gonna have to be as it is. Damn it, why did I have to make it so dark too? I tried to darken the areas around it to make that darker area look more like a highlight, creating contrast, but I could only do so much. I had to face the fact that I fucked up and it's permanent. And since this one crystal point was dark now, I had to do the same to the other ones and darken them up as well, so it looks like a cohesive crystal. It's all part of the same crystal. I tried to be more careful when shading the other crystal pieces, especially being mindful of the highlights. So with these smaller crystals, I shaded in the edges facing forward, but I left the ones facing to the right blank because that's where the light source was coming in. There it is. It's drawn on. I don't know if I like it, but this is what I got.
Well, this is what it looks like.
Okay, moving on to the smooth rocks. The one in the foreground has a bit of texture, so I just added in some scribbles while also leaving a place for a highlight. Next, I started working on our cloud guy, and I wanted to emulate the beautiful wavy lines streaking across the stone, but I ended up overworking it. A lot of those lines got lost in the details. He ended up looking a little bit more hairy than I wanted him to. So this flat round guy also has some texture, but he's also really dark and glossy. So I tried to build up his texture darkness while also leaving spots for highlights and reflections. And I sketched in our cube friend as well, so I purposely shaded the middle of each plane but left the edges untouched to give it the illusion of glossy edges. And while we all might be floating in space on a giant rock, these rocks are grounded to, well, ground. So I gave him each a shadow to illustrate the concept of gravity. And I'm gonna go back in with my Sharpie pen to emphasize some of the dark features of each crystal. It just adds more contrast. And now I just gotta shade in those crevices inside the amethyst. And you know what? I'm gonna add those nice bubbly round lines into my cloud front because I have free will. And of course, I darkened and emphasized some of the areas on the cube and smooth stones. I went back into the spiky boy one more time and then decided it was time to erase the pencil. Okay, I'm done. I'm done suffering for today. I have drawn gems. Think the goal was achieved? Was it achieved greatly? No. But gems are drawn on, so here is a close-up of the drawing. And as always, I would like to hear from you guys. What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? What would you have done differently? If you enjoyed my video, please give it a like. Also consider subscribing to my channel as I post other things like shorts and comics based on trending audio. And remember, a mediocre existence is still an existence. Bye-bye. Some crime is occurring. It's me. I'm the crime. Sinning against humanity.